Josh of Thermaprint64 going to show you how to set up a Thermaprint64 for printing operation. And we're going to use HT8 ribbon and these 3x6 foil pouches to demonstrate how to do that. So the first thing that we'll do is thread the ribbon through the machine itself. There is a nice little diagram right here with some quick little steps just to remind you, but the basic flow is shown on the diagram itself. And I'll just go ahead and do it by hand and show you a couple little tips and tricks that we do in-house here. So the first thing you gotta do is you have to have a empty coil on the take-up roll to take up the ribbon. You have to have a full coil of ribbon on the supply roll, just like how this is shown. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of get some extra slack out of the ribbon just to work with, and it goes underneath this straightening shaft, and then it goes under the print head. And I did it a little bit quickly just because I kind of do it automatically, but what I do is I just kind of take the end of the ribbon and I pass it through the gap between the print head and the outside of the thing and make sure that it goes underneath the print head and the straightener. And it can be a fairly smooth motion once you get used to it. One thing to notice is this is coated side in ribbon. For coated side out ribbon, you would have it coming off of the other way of the roll. So it would be coming off the bottom of the roll for coated side out. And for coated side in, you want it coming off the top. And so, once again, just get a little bit of working slack. That's probably good for the whole job. Under the straightener and through the gap. Do not go underneath this square shaft right here, as that will cause problems. You want it underneath the straightener but over the square. Try and get any major wrinkles out. And then you come up from the print head and over this black kind of rubbery shaft and underneath the take-up. And then you can just kind of pinch it in and wind it by hand. And you'll notice that there's still a fairly significant wrinkle in it. So what I'll do is I'll give some extra slack from the supply and just slowly wind the take-up. And that seems to really be the best, quickest way to get rid of any wrinkles. So that's how you thread the ribbon. The next thing you'll want to set is this hold down strip. And it just kind of screws in and locks down on this shaft. And you want to set it so that it is at the outside edge of whatever product you're running. So if you're running like a 6-inch wide product, you want it out here. If you're running a 3-inch like we are currently, you want it further in. And this is just to hold down the outside corner of whatever you're feeding through the machine so it doesn't flip up and catch anything. And it doesn't have to be precise, it can be kind of close, it's fairly wide. Next thing to do is take one pouch and just kind of insert it in to the printer. For some units this standoff is not here, so you'll just be basing it off of the actual wall, but since the standoff is here for the short product, we base it off that. And then you loosen the side guide and you go on ahead and bring it in, and you want it close to the product, but you don't want it to pinch. You just want it to guide and not really pinch. And so again, just kind of insert the product so it's just kind of going into the wheel a little bit. Adjust the side guide. Make sure that it's all nice and good. And kind of a rule of thumb is around 1/8 of an inch gap between the side guide and the product itself at its tightest point. And then you just lock that down. For the rest of the pouches, just make sure that they're all going the same direction. Sometimes pouch makers like to flip them on you. And what you'll do is you'll just kind of shingle the whole stack. And what we mean by that is kind of, I'll do it a little bit extreme, but, push the front in so it'll be further in than the back. And that's kind of an extreme shingling. That's pretty good. And you can just kind of lay that right on top of the label you already did. And ensure that it's nice and flush on the side and shingled on the bottom. The stuff on the bottom is further in than the stuff on top. If there's a feed assist ramp or anything like that back here, it's the same exact loading motion. You just gotta make sure that it follows the ramp, and the ramp is generally there to help assist with that shingling. So this should be good to run. The only major change that'll be left is adjusting the separation gap so that it only feeds one product at a time. And the best way to do that is to just kind of run and see what happens. In order to feed with the cover open like this so you can see what's going on, you'll need to engage the interlock switch. And you can just fold up a piece of paper or some Tyvek or something along those lines and just kind of insert it into this little slot right here. That's due north from the take-up. And then with the printer in offline mode, you can just kind of feed some pouches through. Make sure that everything is running well, nothing's scraping, nothing's jamming. And as long as these pouches came out okay, you can just go on ahead and reload them. If you do need to adjust the separator, that is what this silver knob right here does. If you rotate it counterclockwise as viewed from above, it will tighten the separator, so it will make it so that it is more likely to feed one. But if you make it too tight, it will jam. If you rotate it clockwise, it will loosen the separator, which will make it less likely to jam, but more likely to double feed. And it's a fairly fine adjustment once you get close, where a quarter turn can be a large difference depending on the product type. So it's pretty much dialed in. It seems to be feeding really well. We might need a little bit more of a gap because that's a very small gap right there. So I'll just go ahead and tighten that up a little bit. And it's just pretty much pure trial and error. Again, just kind of tapping the stack straight in both directions. There we go. Alright, and so that's how you set up a Thermaprint64. Thank you.